Look at the scale of the Great Himalayan National Park. 1,171 square kilometers of extreme, completely roadless topography in the Kullu district of India. If you've researched Himalayan trekking, you've likely seen images of the Everest or Annapurna circuits, wide paths lined with tea houses, hot meals, and heavy commercial foot traffic. This park is managed with the exact opposite philosophy. To protect its biodiversity, infrastructure is kept out. That creates immediate logistical friction. No independent hiking is allowed. You cannot set up permanent base camps. Hiring a local guide is mandatory. This table compares the typical commercial Himalayan circuit directly against GHNP. The trade-offs are stark. No tea houses, rolling camps only, mandatory guides, and an intact wildlife ecosystem. You have to ask yourself, is trading the comfort of a standard trek worth the severe physical toll required to enter this specific sanctuary? Stepping inside the park boundary forces a very real choice about how your presence impacts a fragile ecosystem already dealing with heavy external threats. Let's look at the park's rolling camp policy. Every single day, your expedition must physically carry in all high-quality tents, cooking gear, and provisions, and then pack it out. The ecological rationale here is strict. By outlawing fixed commercial camps, the park prevents the severe soil compaction and localized degradation of water sources that happen when groups occupy the same clearing for months. The trade-off is entirely on your shoulders. This protocol requires highly efficient packing and drastically increases the daily metabolic energy you need to burn just to move from point A to point B. You also have to navigate the mandatory guide requirement. The administration requires you to hire from cooperatives based in the 160 villages situated within the park's immediate ecozone. When you hire these guides and stay in traditional ecozone homestays before your trek, you inject vital capital directly into the local community. This localized economic incentive turns former poachers and woodcutters into fiercely motivated defenders of the forest because their livelihood now depends on keeping the park pristine. That local defense network is crucial for protecting highly threatened medicinal flora from illegal harvesting, specifically the cancer-treating yew tree and the heavily poached spikenard plant. The strict logistical inputs and daily permit fees are not arbitrary hurdles. They are the exact financial and physical mechanisms keeping the park's biodiversity intact. If you decide to take this on, the primary artery for exploring the park's interior is the Tirthan Valley corridor, beginning at the Gushani roadhead. This topographic cross-section maps the actual sequence of the trek. You start with a grueling vertical ascent from Rolla, push through the dense bamboo thickets of Schilt Hut, and eventually emerge into the open alpine expanse of untouched. Notice how this exact same map overlays 14 distinct, intact forest types. Your physical exertion is rewarded by transitioning vertically through each of these ecological zones. As you climb, you pass through thick temperate belts dominated by massive blue pine and karsu oak. If you have the endurance to reach the extreme apex of Kobri Top at 4,090 meters, the tree line vanishes entirely. Up here, you are rewarded with rare sightings of high-altitude mammals foraging along the snowline. The punishing vertical topography acts as a natural filter. It ensures that only those deeply committed to the physical toll ever reach the inner sanctuary. But even this isolated sanctuary is facing severe macro-environmental threats from anthropogenic climate change. Rising global temperatures are altering the mountain's biology, causing the Himalayan alpine tree line to rapidly migrate upward, in some areas by up to 503 meters. This animated cross-section illustrates the squeeze effect. As the subalpine forest advances upward, it compresses the critical alpine grazing meadows directly against the unyielding rocky peaks above. This shrinking habitat, combined with domestic livestock expanding into the lower valleys during the summer, forces native wildlife into highly suboptimal, rugged terrain just to avoid competition. For the keystone herbivore of this region, the Himalayan Blue Sheep, or Bharal, this forced displacement exacts a high metabolic cost, directly reducing their winter fat stores and reproductive fitness. The Bharal survives here through extreme evolutionary adaptations. They possess high hypoxia resistance for the thin air and dense cryogenic insulation to withstand freezing winds.
Behaviorally, they have an instinctual reliance on near-vertical escape terrain. They use the sheer topography as an impenetrable shield against predators. That apex predator is the snow leopard. It relies on short, explosive pursuits, using the rugged shale and its own incredible camouflage to ambush the Bharal. To witness this unmanipulated predator-prey dynamic, you have to time your trek for the freezing autumn months, when dropping temperatures finally force these herds down to lower visible elevations. The Great Himalayan National Park actively resists over-tourism. The logistical friction, the physical difficulty, and the strict rules are the intended features of the park, not bugs to be fixed. Looking at this quadrant chart mapping discomfort tolerance against the desire for ecological authenticity, we can place the casual tourist squarely in the lower left. This is someone who prioritizes standard mountain vacation conveniences, fixed base camps, and independent hiking. If you fall into this demographic, avoid the GHNP track. The lack of infrastructure will result in a miserable experience. But in the top right quadrant, we find the conscious eco-tourist and the purist, individuals willing to endure rolling camps and pay conservation fees. If you are in this group, your intense physical and logistical inputs will yield an unparalleled front-row experience of a vanishing alpine ecosystem. The Great Himalayan National Park proves a difficult reality. Preserving true, intact wilderness requires the visitor to compromise to the landscape, not the other way around.